We got to break the fourth wall here a little bit, as they say. Before the end of the world, I'd pretty much quit driving already, and the end of the world made it, clinched it, you could say. But I discovered that RTD has a program for disabled people, Accessoride, and Accessoride has a deal with Uber. So I qualified for the program, which means I can take subsidized Uber rides. I know, you're thinking, why are you telling us this? Well, because one day I decided to go to the coffee shop and do some writing. So I took an Uber over and an Uber home. So this is 2 Uber poems, before and afters. The first one was Going. It's called Unfamiliar Territory. My young Uber driver today told me he was new to Denver just 5 years ago. I laughed and said, I came here in 1971. He said something about that being a long-ass time ago. I said, a lot has changed. He said, I bet. I asked if he'd heard of Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac. He hadn't. So I couldn't tell him my Allen Ginsberg story because he wouldn't be properly impressed, and it wouldn't give me the sheen of authentic cool that it usually does. All he was thinking was how old I am. I was thinking I wanted to slap him and tell him to get a damn education. I didn't. I shut up. He was just a kid trying to make some cash. I felt sorry for him. He liked Denver better than Las Vegas or New York. I'd been around, he bragged, but I didn't laugh. It's the trees, he said, admiring what's most ridiculous about my city, except for maybe the lawns, neither of which are remotely native to our High Plains desert. But Ginsberg and Kerouac weren't native either, I guess. One of Russian Jews, the other French Canadians. But they made history here too. Perhaps history is as dead as last year's social media posts. What I'm getting at is how much of what we know has moved into the don't know, we don't even know category. And here I am, too disabled to drive, sitting in the back seat of a Korean car, being driven by a white kid with whom I share no cultural references at all. We barely speak the same language. Of course, I was him 52 years ago, and Denver was just as unrecognizable then as now because, well, I didn't care about its past either. When you're young, you only think of the future, and you imagine you'll be saved from mediocrity, midlife crisis, and dementia. You still believe in personal salvation and immunity against all the inevitables. You're sure your trip on the Pequod will not end like old Ishmael's. Hell, today you can't even read the abridged classic comic book, much less the original. I can still read books. Well, I have to work hard to get anything from them. My excuse is brain damage. I don't know what his excuse is, and I didn't ask. He was a nice kid, trying to be respectful enough to earn a tip. I got the feeling that the world had pretty much left me in its dust, and I didn't mind. The new world has little enough to offer me now. Most of what I value, most of it's being finished off by fascist wingnuts, their treasured ignorance. Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac have been dead so long they're irrelevant as rotary phones, road maps, and typewriters, I suppose. I'm not bitter. I'm glad. I'm pretty tired of 24/7 pain anyway, and gosh, though, I do love my cell phone and my mountain view from the 12th floor balcony and, well, a handful of beloved humans. I'm not ready to leave yet. Oh, and vegan donuts and vegan ice cream. I'm not altogether unhappy living in unfamiliar territory, but it'll be easier to get out of here when my time's up. Number 2. I'm going to stand up here, Scott, so I've got to direct the cameraman. Home again. I dropped into the back seat with a grunt. The driver, a large, youngish black man, greeted me like he'd been waiting all day for this opportunity to meet and drive me home. I felt I might have been a long-lost cousin he'd been searching for all these years. It was a greeting I did not expect. Would usually make me a little suspicious, but his warm enthusiasm won me over. I laughed aloud, completely disarmed. I believed Aubrey really wanted to know how my day was. Can you imagine that? And he had high hopes for my answer. Well, for a moment, I was lost for words. Yeah, really. Yeah. I was lost for words. But he encouraged me. I said, great, just great. And told him the highlights. He confirmed his day was cool. He was ready to go home before the Friday night crazies came out. And we laughed, and I was charmed. He asked, what you been up to? I told him, writing in the coffee shop. He jumped on it, asked, writing what? I said, poems. He said, I love poems. I said, me too. Oh, he said, man, give me one. I paused and struggled, shrugged, stammered. Oh, come on, please, he said. So I reached in my bag and pulled out my journal, a little jazz poem I found. One I'd written for Nikola Jokic, the 2023 MVP of the NBA Finals. I took a deep breath. Well, not too deep. Gave that poem all I had on such short notice. I read, improvised, jammed, transformed that back seat into a small nightclub stage. And I soloed hard. The poem ends with a double amen, which he anticipated, so we amen together like we were in church. Laughed like we were more than cousins. He turned as much as he could without swerving, offered his thick fist to mine, and we bumped, said, amen, again. Laughed the way two men can when they've been moved by the same spirit. I asked Aubrey, you write poems? He said, I used to rap when I was young. He added, in Atlanta, where I'm from, but not since I've been here. I said, He quickly added, but I love hearing poetry, man. So I told him about a couple of places in Denver where he could go to hear some good spoken word. Well, and then I was home. He offered his fist again. I bumped it and then opened my hand. And he spread his big hand, and we shook solid. I scrambled out, leaned back in to say, thanks. He said, maybe someday I'll see you again. I said, I hope so. Closed the door. He pulled away. Praise the all-star Jokic MVP. Praise the interstellar Coltrane. Praise the power of poetry. Best goddamn Uber ride ever. Amen.